All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the call. I am your host, Dr. Erin, a high performance mindset coach and business coach. And this is Mind Your Own Business, where we talk about all the things related to our mindset and our daily success habits that will help us go to where we want to go in 1U DNA. And today we have a special call where we get to talk about fear because we are going through really unique times. And I really wanted to address this issue that I think a lot of us are probably feeling, which is some level of fear, some level of unrest, some level of unease, and talk about kind of what this means. And really just wanted to put my psychologist hat on. So with your permission, I would love to share with you what I know about fear and how to have a relationship with it where it's not in charge, but we're in charge. And my prayer is that this will just really bless you moving forward. So let me talk about fear first. So there's two different kinds of fear. There's rational fear and there's irrational fear. And most of the time in psychology, when I'm treating somebody, it's based on an irrational fear, but often actually it can be kind of a rational fear. So let me give you an example. Maybe someone has a long history in their family of breast cancer, and they are just terrified that they're going to get breast cancer. And they're just like, I'm sure I'm next. And it just riddles them with fear. Typical kind of mindset 1.0 personal development would say something along the lines of just think positive, and that's ridiculous, and just you're fine now, and don't worry about it. And those kind of people might also say the same thing to what's currently happening. And you see this online, you're even if you've said this yourself, your intentions are good, but maybe you're saying things like, God's got this, or I'm sure it'll all be fine, or we're going to all be better in the end. And like, that's great. And that helps us kind of manage our fear. But we're not necessarily always dealing with irrational fears. These are rational fears. So to the person that has cancer in her lineage, I cannot, as a psychologist, sit across from her and say, let's challenge that thought, which was old wave cognitive behavioral therapy, by the way. So let's find all the evidence that that thought is not true. You can't do that for a lot of fears. So what the heck do you do with real rational fear? So people are sitting at home and maybe they've lost their jobs and they don't know how this is going to affect them. And we're all going to be affected because that's just the reality of this. So you can't really look at others or yourself and say, now, don't worry about it. It'll all be fine. Because your brain's like, well, I've got some data that supports otherwise, right? So I first wanted to talk about that concept that fear, we've been given this marketing, I believe, we live in such a capitalistic system and such a market-driven buy kind of system that teaches us so much that we might not even know it's happening, that whenever we have pain or fear, we just need to go and buy something to make it go away. And so we've become this culture that is not very equipped, to no fault of our own, but we're not very equipped to like, how do I actually deal with fear? How do I hang out with fear and live my life even though it's there and while it's there? So I think that's kind of good news, that we're not going to try to just think our way out of like, there's nothing going on here, there's nothing to worry about, people. That's not the solution here. And I think that's kind of good news, isn't it? Because that would be a little bit of crazy making, wouldn't it? I call that crazy making. That's crazy to just say, don't worry about it, when you don't know if you can pay for the bills. Okay, that's ridiculous to say that, but we don't know how else to think about it. So I'm going to share with you what really the last and third wave of psychology has shown us is to have a different relationship with fear. And the good news is, by doing this, it actually lessens the experience of the fear. It lessens the distress of the reality that's going on, and it allows you to function better. Isn't that what we all want, right? And so if you, let me preface it with this. Some of you might know this, but in kind of the Buddhism philosophy, and actually the third wave of cognitive behavioral therapy came from Buddhism. They pretty much stole it from Buddhism. So Here's the deal. Buddhists would say this. If you were to ask them, what is the number one way to get rid of fear? They would say, the first step is to agree with it. Like this is crazy good, right? What do we mean by that? Okay, so what could that mean psychologically speaking? It means whatever you resist persists. We know with the brain, the second you say, I can't have you, go away, oh God, it's getting worse, oh, you again, oh, I just thought I got rid of you and now you're back again, you can't come in. Guess what? It's like a monster. And unintentionally, we're feeding that monster of anxiety and fear when it comes knocking on our door. We feed it every single time we say, I can't have you, you're too much, go away. And what do a lot of us humans do? We numb out. We're like, I don't want to feel that. I'm going to eat or drink or shop or do something or veg or procrastinate or stay under the covers or whatever. Like, that's just what we do. It's like, oh, how human of me. Oh, how human of me. Oh, how human of me. There's no judgment, but we're like, oh no, I can't have that fear. So what the heck do I do with that? I can't have that discomfort. So our unintentional, the unintentional results is the discomfort gets bigger. So if it indeed is the way out is the way through is the way out, then what would that relationship with fear look like if we said, wow, okay, come on in, sit down, like, let's have a talk. Okay, and this is what I want you, I'm going to give you a solution out of this, but I want you to realize that fear is actually a normal human emotion. Fear is normal. It's called being human. And being human means you got to show up for all the emotions. And I learned that in my I had to learn that lesson late. I mean, I have not mastered that by any means, but okay, so I have to show up and I can show up. And that's what resilience is. It's the ability to show up for all of the emotions. So I want you to think of fear. If fear was like a coin, if this was a coin, on one side is your fear. I'm terrified to get a cancer someday. I'm terrified that this coronavirus is going to wipe us all out for 6 months and we're, going to have no income. I'm terrified that everything I've worked so hard to build at One UDNA is just going to come crashing and burning and like, wow, no one's going to buy vitamins. I'm terrified that no one's, insert fear. Okay. First of all, that's kind of a normal thing your brain's doing. Your brain's a professional problem solver. And so it's really good at like making sure you stay safe. And we'll get to that. But on the flip side of your fear, if you flip over the coin, I want you to realize that points you to what you value the most. So if you could look at your fear and say, interesting information coming in. I'm terrified of losing my whole entire business. Interesting information coming in. I'm terrified that my health's going to go. Interesting information, right? If you flip it over, oh, that must mean I really value, and then you'll know the answer. That must mean I really value my health. That must mean I really value staying around. That must mean I really value having a successful business. That must mean I really value helping people with their health. That must mean I really value financial security. That, my friends, is where you can get into behavioral kind of motion and be proactive and take control of your life. But I want you to understand this. I want you to know that two things are going to occur simultaneously. You're going to have the fear and you're going to behave. You're not going to behave waiting for the fear to go away. You're not going to say, when the fear goes away, I'll start making my calls. You're not going to do that. You're going to say, wow, fear, we got some calls to make today. Here we go. We're going to pick up the phone. And yeah, you're really noisy today, fear. You are really loud. You are really trying to, abort this mission. And somehow we have to figure out how they can co-occur. And this happens, and you've done this many, many times in your life without realizing it maybe. You've done all sorts of things, even with fear. You've done a public speaking. Ryan spoke in front of people. He probably had some anxiety going on in his cute little body of his, right? He probably had a little bit of anxiety going on, and he did it anyways. He didn't wait around for the anxiety to go away, because then he never would have spoken. Okay, so you know the book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. That's the concept, is that those two hang out at the same time, and it's the weirdest thing, but once you know that, it's like the greatest solution. Okay, so that's kind of what I want to say about fear, and then I want to give you the solution of kind of like how to hang out with it and manage it and change it and control your actions in spite of it and all that. But not all fear is irrational. Let the fear in. It's information. It's often very helpful information that something important is going on here. Like the information coming in that, you know, the economy might be unstable. Okay, that's going to help me make some wise decisions about what I spend my money on. Like, it's information. It's not just, fear's not just this nuisance to be ignored all the time, even though it's uncomfortable. Okay, so that's our relationship with fear, and we're going to behave even though and even with fear. It's totally possible you've been doing it your whole life. Okay, so here's the 4 steps that I want you to apply to whatever fear you're having right now. And I call this bless and release. So just insert your own fear that you're having right now. So let's just write it down on the top. Like, what are you afraid of? Write it down on top of your paper. What are you afraid of? Pick among the buffet of fears that you might be experiencing. There might be many. Just pick one. Okay, so the first step is I want you to just observe the fear non-judgmentally. It's kind of like a yoga ninja move, right? That's what mindfulness is. It's observe your thoughts not judgmentally. And this is how you do it. You write, I'm having the thought that, and insert your fear. I'm having the thought that, and insert your fear. And we can share with each other. We can go through these 4 steps with each other at the end of the call. I'm having the thought that my whole business is going to go away. I'm having the thought that no one's going to want to buy vitamins. I'm having the thought that, you know, I'll go back into bankruptcy. I'm having the thought that I'm going to be viewed by my friends as vultures and opportunistic if I share this with them. I'm having the thought that, okay? So observe the thought non-judgmentally. The second is, I want you to understand that your brain's job is to keep you safe, to keep things predictable, to keep things orderly. And so that thought that you just had is actually just your brain's attempt to do all that wonderful work for you. So the second step is, I want you to thank your brain for that thought. And I want you to understand and tell your brain why you're thanking it. So thank you, brain, for trying to keep me safe. Thank you, brain, for alerting me that something important is happening. Thank you, brain, for trying to prevent me from looking like a tool with my friends. Thank you, friend, for, I was going to say a different word. Thank you, friend, thank you, brain, for trying to keep the world safe and predictable in my brain. Thank you, brain, for being such an amazing problem solver. Coming up with problems I don't even have. Okay, thank you, brain. You're doing an awesome job. Third step is I want you to claim your new decision. It's called the third step, the power of the pivot. The power of the pivot. So in the third step, I want you to tell your brain what is the truth and what is your reality and what you think about all this going on. So let me give you an example. So third step is, but I've learned to be resourceful. But I've learned how to use a script and how to use words that feel really authentic to me, where I don't feel like I'm being a vulture. But I truly feel like I have something that can help people, and I know my intentions are good. But I'm the kind of person now, I figured out, that figures things out. But I am confident now in my ability to figure things out. But I've survived a lot of things in my life. So I have a pretty great track record of surviving this one. It's like this, it's almost like a self-coaching statement of what's true now. So maybe Ryan and I were terrified of public speaking at the beginning, and their brain's like, abort, like this is ridiculous, like do not do this, do not go in, you're gonna make a fool of yourself, you don't know what you're doing. The power of the pivot is, but I've practiced, or I've trained with a speaker and I feel like I have something to add, value now. Or, that person in my life that told me I was terrible at speaking, she's not in the audience anymore. Right? Or I'm safe here. These are my people. Whatever you need to do to like realize that the rules are different, you're different, the situation's different, your resources are different, your skills are different, your abilities to maneuver through it are different. Okay, power of the pivot. And then last step is you then go take action, and you take action on the decision you make. And so now I'm going to go make the phone call. And so now I'm going to go speak. And so here I'm going to go make a post on social media. And so here I'm going to go, right? And so you make the decision to move. So all the time you see, you don't need that fear to go away. It's information. It's telling you something. You're telling it what you think about it instead of it telling you what to do. You're self-coaching your way through a new reality, a new truth of what you want to believe, and you're going to go take action. And guess what happens when you take action? It changes the whole belief system, and then you're way better off, and you're out of the mess anyways, and that makes me look really effective. Okay, so you're just going to behave your way to new thinking instead of try to think your way to new behaving. Okay, that right alone there is like a book, right? You're going to behave your way into new thinking instead of trying to think your way into new behaving. Okay, so I am going to close that part of the talk. I'm going to open it up for discussion. I'm actually going to keep the recording because I think this is going to be really awesome for everybody. Would love to hear your ahas, what your thoughts are, what's new to you, what you want to practice, share your fear. If you want to practice your 4 steps with us, we'd love to hear if someone wants to go first. I'm going to unmute everyone. If anyone I'm just going to maybe mute people as they go. So if you want to mute yourself until you want to talk, that would be awesome for the recording.
Hey, Erin, can I touch base on the public speaking?
Pardon, friend? Go ahead.
With the public speaking, I mean, that's the #1 fear for everyone in the world, pretty much, public speaking. And it always was for me, and I always knew I would need to do it. So, like, when I was in high school, I took speech and drama class. It freaked the heck out of me. In college, I took public speaking, and I took an acting class because I knew to be successful at what I wanted to do, I was going to have to develop these skills. And so as you develop these skills, you get more confidence. That anxiety, that fear never goes away, but you become more confident in your abilities. And so, like, even when I went to Las Vegas to speak with Haley Gillen and them, I was on the graphic. Those people showed up because they wanted to see me talk. And so when you get that mindset that people are there to see you, it makes it a little easier. You still freak out. You can ask Ashley Garza. She was sitting next to me, and I was just like a complete ball of anxiety. But I knew I was gonna own it because I prepared for it and because I've spent years preparing for it. So we all have to start somewhere. So start today on developing those skills, and eventually you'll be asked to come speak at events, and you'll become one of those leaders that you want to be.
Thank you for being a model of that for all of us, Ryan.
You're welcome.
You know, Erin, on a existential kind of way, as a person of faith, as a minister, as a leader in that community, it's interesting to kind of, like you were saying, observe people who are like, hey, God's in control. This is all good. There's all a reason for it. And not really a theology I ascribe to. I don't believe in a controlling being. I don't believe in I do believe that we are all pieces of that same God, of that same light, and such we have an action, a responsibility, an agency to bring about whatever is going to come about, because of this time together. And so there's that juxtaposition of Zen, yeah, I do believe it's going to be okay. This fear or other fears, I do believe they all work out. And I think kind of like what you were saying, Ryan, if you look back to the things that you were afraid of, and then you looked back with 2020 hindsight, what actually happened? How did I make it through there? What were the behaviors and the decisions and the ways I looked at things? And that helps you kind of maybe gain a confidence, even that isn't discreet, Ryan, but it's overall in my life, yeah, I live with fear and I'm afraid and there's unknowns. And yet, when I look back, if I have that, it was okay. You know, the new position, the new place, the new normal is just that. It still can be okay because it's how I'm looking at it. It may be very different, and it certainly might not be what we want, you know. So I appreciate what you were just saying there, Ryan, that discrete, how do I gain more confidence in an event or a fear, or how do I even pop that up to a meta narrative of how do I look at my life around things that scare me or things that scare people that I love? You know, how do I speak into that without, like you're saying, Erin, without going, yeah, I'll be fine. You don't know that. It's going to be different. And I think back to when we were teaching a lot on fear, we were teaching about how deep the valley and how rich the valley can be if we don't run through it, if we don't run away. And we talked about a couple things, fear being the question where you, number 2 or 3 maybe, is fear false evidence appearing real? So like you said, it's not a helpful fear. Or is it that intuition or intuitiveness we've gained that says, forget everything and run? You know, because sometimes fear saves our life. If we're, but like you're saying right there, I just really appreciate the conscious piece you're saying. Let me ask, what fear is this? And then what decisions and then what action should I take out of that consciousness, you know, and not pushing away, but that being with, that inviting in of that fear. So thank you for today. This is really, really helpful. I appreciate you always.
You, Joby, that was beautiful.
Thank you, hon.
And a lot of times, like in the public speaking aspect, just to keep on that, the fear is an irrational fear, because when you're done, you're looked at as a leader. People come up to you and want to talk to you. They show you respect. It enhances your life. Like when I got done speaking at all those events, like people looked up to me in a light that they didn't look at me before. And so it was a very beneficial, positive experience. But still, even every time I go to speak, I still have that fear. I still have that anxiety. What if I mess up? What if I look stupid? And I shouldn't have that anymore, because I've made myself look stupid so many times in this life, and most of the time,
Right, like what's
it's enjoyable.
Stop. I can make money messing up? Awesome.
I know.
Who else wants to share?
I'll share. Yeah, Joe, Ryan, thank you. I completely agree with all of that. And as far as the fear goes, like I've been having a little bit, Erin, you know, the last couple of days, and I always work really hard to subscribe to the belief of faith over fear. But I think it was good too that sometimes I can have faith and be ignoring what it is that this information that fear is. I love that fear is just information. So now that it's information, I can process the information. I don't know how to process fear, but I know how to process information.
Wow.
So that was a big, just distinguishing word for me. That it's just information. And so, like, you know, my fear is, yeah, no one will buy vitamins or sign up for Mexico because the economy is going to tank, and people will think I'm insensitive for still doing business as usual. And so I've not done my phone calls. I've not done my follow-ups. It's not because of a lack of having anyone to follow up with. I have too many people to follow up with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put, you know, thank you, brain, for trying to keep me safe. But I've learned how to use a script and truly know where my heart and my intentions are.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think going back to my word unapologetic for the year, and just thinking of audience of one, and, you know, God knows my heart, God knows my intention. If someone else thinks that I'm insensitive, well, that's their issue. Not to be rude or mean in this time that we're all going through something, but, you know, I know where my heart and intentions are, and I'm not trying to be a vulture and like, oh my God, you have to join my business right now because you're not going to make any money unless you join my network marketing business. But just taking action to make the phone calls and send the messages so that I can process the information, because fear is simply information. So thank you.
Woo, so good.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on that. So We went to Croatia a few years ago, and I was with my adult children and my husband. And we were like 8,000 feet in these mountains, and we were going to go zip lining. And I was like really terrified. I was really like, that was the most horrifying thing to me. But I kept telling myself, I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to do this. But I had to get into the questioning of like, what was I really afraid of? And I had to do my own thought work, right? What was I really afraid of? I was like, I wasn't really afraid that I was going to fall and die. Like I was like, whatever, like, okay, then that's what's going to happen. But I was really afraid of, I was going to get stuck out there, like in the middle of the gorge. And so I said, okay, so I asked the guide, like, well, what happens if I get stuck out there? Because I said, that's really what I'm afraid of. He's like, well, we'll come and get you. And I was like, what? Oh, okay. And so that was really, really helpful. Now, I was still like, you know, anxious, but I did keep telling myself that, you know, I was really excited. I really wanted to have the experience. And yes, I was afraid of like getting stuck out there, but I also knew that somebody would come and get me. I wouldn't be dangling out there like that movie Cliffhanger or whatever, somebody would come and get me and figure it out. But it's that fear is afraid of. And so yesterday, it looks like my internet's unstable, and then yesterday I reached out to a couple of people, and, you know, I was just like, hey, how are you doing? I know that blah, 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 this and that. And I said, hey, by the way, you know, we're having this call tonight, and, you know, you asked me to just keep you in the loop. And so I just like left it with that. And I said, no pressure. You asked me to keep you in the loop and what's going on. And so I just wanted to share, hey, they're talking about the merger, more about what's to come. And so, you know, both of them responded just saying, yeah, I'm going to get on the call, you know. So, because I was like, I don't know if you're doing anything tonight, might be at home, you know. So anyway, just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Judy. I just had a huge thought when you were talking that I think maybe the unconscious meaning that we attach to sharing an opportunity with people when they're in distress is because we know we're going to benefit from it financially. And that is there's so much dissonance in our brain that how could I make money by virtue of helping someone that's in distress? But we've got to like check your brain if that's what's going on. Because ultimately we get paid to offer a lifeline to people, to offer, you know, the lifesaver in the sinking boat. And so you could go two ways with one of that, right? I'm taking advantage of them or I'm saving them. So go and check out the post that I just posted this morning. It might help you because Garth and I were really talking about how do I word this so that I'm not opportunistic. And what I want to say to what Pamela said too is, when we reach out to people, context can go a long way. And so putting in the words of, hey, Pamela, it's Dr. Erin. I've been thinking about you. I know your business just closed down for 30 days. How are you doing? You know, and then at the risk of sounding like one of those weirdos in network marketing that's like, or you should do my home-based business. I've really been toying with, I don't think I can sit with myself knowing I didn't share this with you. So I want to share this with you so that you can decide, because I actually don't want to make those decisions for people. Like, think about the content, the power of giving a context of this is why I'm going to share it with you versus, hey, I've got something that I think could really help you out in these difficult times. Like, give a context of, I've been toying around with this. And you know what? I think it would actually be really selfish of me if I didn't share it with people like you that are struggling.
It's a mindset thing for sure. I mean, think about the nurses and the doctors out there. They're not feeling guilty that they're making bank right now because they're helping people. We've got liquor store owners selling beer to people that kind of ease their anxiety. Well, essentially, it's really weakening their immune system. So we have something that I have the IL-6 gene that's being linked to the coronavirus. I have some symptoms right now that are like shortness of breath, inflammatory or response in my lungs, extreme fatigue. And I know that the Euphoria is helping me because it's not extreme. I mean, I did the test with Beaumont Hospital today, and they said to stay home and don't come and get tested yet because your symptoms aren't severe enough. But I know that it's helping me. And so we have something that we can offer to people to help boost their immune system. And so instead of saying, hey, I'm making money off it, I'm giving them an opportunity to live healthier. And even in my other business where we do water restoration, we're making money when people's basement floods or their house floods. And I look at it, I look at it from a point of, hey, we're creating a sanitary situation in your basement and giving you a healthy indoor environment that you wouldn't have if you tried to do it yourself. So, I mean, you're offering them a solution to a problem they have. And so if
I
you think of
never
that
thought
way,
that as a psychologist, like I'm making money because people are suffering in the world. It never even appeared, like it was never a thought. I make money when you're suicidal. Like that was never a thought.
you know, we're giving value to someone that needs it, a solution.
Thank you, Ryan.
You know, Erin, that was actually on my number 2 for this exercise we just did. I'm having the thought.
Who is this?
It's Leanne.
Oh, hi, Leanne. Okay.
Hi.
I just wanted to know. Okay.
I said, I'm having the thought that people won't want to spend money right now or that they can't. But I know my heart. I know what I'm doing in this case. And the other thing is, I'm going to approach people whose businesses are suffering and give them the lifeline with the Practrician or the Euphoria business. And I don't feel, why would we feel guilty about that? It's a beautiful thing. And they may not be able to afford it right now because they're scared or they just can't. But we're having the conversation. And when things do go back to normal, and they will have another conversation with me. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you are. Your job is to plant the seeds right now.
Absolutely.
And imagine 4 months from now, if they're like, why didn't you tell me about that 4 months ago? We had money in the bank that I would have loved to add this. Like, I don't want to make those decisions for people. I don't want to be assuming.
And when are your actionable genes most susceptible to expressing negatively in stressful situations? So right now is a stressful situation for a lot of people. So not only is this bacteria, this virus out there, people are more susceptible to it because they're worrying about it. So if we can help those genes express positively, I mean, we're really creating a value situation for them. And I think it's just the way, like you said, the way we approach it is going to be how people respond.
And I've heard that it's the IL-6. Is that correct, Ryan?
Yeah. Yes, that, and I think a little bit of CRP, like the inflammatory responses and the cytokines and IL-6, the immune support. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I know I have some of the symptoms. I don't know if I have it or not, but I've been really, since Monday, kind of struggling breathing a little bit. I've been extremely tired. I've been driving truck, and there's been Monday and Tuesday I had to pull over into a parking lot and take a 15-minute nap because I was going to fall asleep driving. I never fall asleep driving. So it's just, and I have the IL-6. So it's not a big surprise to me. And I've been out, with people a lot lately. And so it's not a big surprise that I'm not feeling well. I know that my symptoms haven't gotten worse because of what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna, no, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go, Juby.
I'm just, popping down to Pamela and Judy and Leanne. It was something that you said Monday night on the call, Erin. It is about the belief in, and I I'm working through a couple blocks myself personally on why I'm not actively working this like I know I can. And I'm working on a couple other therapy events that are helping me to know until I own it, I shouldn't fake it. I mean, right now for me, and I'm not saying that's for anybody else, but until I understand my blocks, until I can be with and find my truth around this really is helping people, which I do believe that. The price point, I think, so we're kind of all talking about. We don't disagree that right now, if you had this to enhance your immune system, and right now without income that I can project anymore from my job, my business, people are going to look at their finances differently, and that's probably a good thing. Yet, back to you, Pamela, I think if people know our heart, like the people that are going to actually care if you speak Ryan or care if you call them Pamela, it's like if they know this part of Joby, those are the people I actually should care about. But the people who don't know me and are going to judge, then those are the folks I really should stop giving my bandwidth to, you know. Therefore, I need to stay in alignment with me, with why I'm doing what I'm doing, and those people who know me or will come to know me through this business or through these networking opportunities, they're the ones that I should actually care. And if they give me some feedback, you know, Joe, when you said it like this, that post seemed a little opportunistic, that's a person I want to listen to, right? And I want to take that in because I'm able to go through these steps. I can learn from that information because it was given to me in love, because they knew me, you know. I had a business musical director a million years ago, and I said she could tell me, she was such a good friend because right to my face she could tell me about my behavior or my execution, but I knew she knew my heart, knew my character, knew my integrity. So she never questioned that. She would offer an observation or a question about how I executed something. Therefore, she was gold to me as a friend because she wasn't questioning me. You know, that whole thing, Pamela, all the way back to, she's not questioning what you're doing or why you're doing it, or the fact that Ryan makes money when someone's house floods. My daughter is a firefighter, and she'll come back and she'll say, that was a great fire. And I'm like, how do you say that was a great fire? You know, something for someone was destroyed and ruined. And yet as a learning probie growing into the fire department, that's how she learned, and that's how they save people. Like, they had to get better at doing that work. So it's offering it with that fabulous context. I think, and back to Leanne, right now it feels like so many of us should be having, like, I don't like the social distancing. I think I've been saying physical distancing, social closeness. As we reach out to people and talk about what we're doing, this is how I'm boosting my immune system. This is how I'm boosting my business. This is how, as a gym owner or a chiropractic person or a person who doesn't have that business, hand-on business right now, I can help you to think about something that is really coming down the pike. And when you reopen, or as we could do that work and you could do that learning. So when you reopen, this may be a whole secondary line of revenue that you didn't think of because you didn't need to, because you didn't have to be creative when things were going well, right? They're not going well right now for anybody. So how do we move into that new place together? And so I think I'm going to start doing, almost like you're saying, Leanne, a real soft thoughtfulness, a thoughtful, what does a great coach do, right? Ask great questions. Boom, just all these thoughts, because then what we need to build is that April, May, please God, June, July, follow-up list. Yep. Right? Boom, follow-up list. But really allow it to be very passive, very loving, very, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm, you know, because no one's going to question me for trying to make money from home when I used to go out and make money belly to belly because I want to pay my mortgage or feed my family, or, you know, that doesn't seem aggressive or opportunistic. It seems like, here's what I'm doing. What are you doing? Wow. Can
I back a minute? Hi, I'm Wendy, guys. This is the first time I've gotten to be on the call. Woohoo, to be at home. Hi, Wendy. I just want to add, you know, that right now, it might be like trepidatious to be asking people and stuff, but if we just keep doing what we've been doing all along, I think that as this fades and as it passes, people are going to be looking at their health more than they ever have. They're going to be seeing network marketing in a whole new light. Like, I think that this is really an opportunity to sit back and, you know, as Travis and Ron also, they both so eloquently were like, don't take advantage of people at this time, but don't change what you're doing either. I mean, just do what you're doing. But more than ever, I know for myself, we can't see the future. We don't know what's going to happen. And I know for myself, I need to have some more stability than I've had in my past. I was one of the first non-essential employees at a hospital setting. However, going back and doing the exercise, if I look at it, I'm scared, I'm stressed, I'm fearful because I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. So what is that telling me? What that's telling me, the information that I'm getting is that I need to figure out how to do things differently, like than what I am. I need to figure out how to make myself more financially stable. Now, outside of that, my background is in retail management. My background is in medical. So maybe I can't keep doing what I'm doing currently, but retail, and as far as stocking those shelves, and I mean, I've been an Uber driver, so deliveries mean nothing to, I could walk into the hospital and probably be trained and have a job within a month. So I know even though it's a difficult phase, I need to take that fear out of the equation and figure out the blessings that I have. I go so fast nonstop with my life that to actually have to sit down and take a minute to reevaluate, is that really such a bad thing? I have boxes. I moved into my place in December. I have boxes I haven't even started to open because, again, my life goes so fast. So it's a good opportunity to just slow down. And then you look at the other side of what amazing healing our planet is going through. If you watch some of the pictures that are being posted and the things that are being said, there's dolphins in the Venice canals, there's penguins walking all over around their little zoos like they own the place. The emissions in the countries are going down. China's had the first blue skies that they've had in decades. Maybe, this is, not to say that we needed or want this to happen, but if you look at the positive, maybe this is Mother Earth's way of saying, check it out. Y'all are making me sick. So what are the positives? You go back to the network marketing issue, and I'm going to tell you right now, I think that when all this is said and done and the economy does start coming back, people are going to be going, what can I get in to back me up later? What if this keeps on? I mean, they're talking about third wave and fourth waves, just like the influenza epidemic. Yes, influenza is a big deal now, but look at what it was 100 years ago. Influenza already did this. Why is it manageable now? Because we figured out how to manage it. It didn't go away. It didn't even really change the numbers. We just figured out how to manage it. And that's where we're at with this corona. It's not about it going away. It's not even about the numbers. It's about learning how to manage it. And if we don't take a step back and we don't slow down, we're not going to be able to figure it out. So, and we're living in a much different time than we were 100 years ago. 100 years ago, they did isolate. Mm-hmm. 100 years ago, they didn't even have to be told to stay home because that's what they did, was stay home. Mm-hmm. So, maybe this is Mother Earth's way of telling us to step up and do better. So you look at that picture. So now you go back to the whole fear aspect that I've been going through. Yes, I can always go back and I can figure it out. But the other thing is, I work for the research and development department at Renown for the hospital. Do I really think that that's going to go anywhere? Like, no, I've already gotten letters. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to get you guys back to work, sign this HIPAA compliance stuff so that we can get you into a different capacity. Give us some time. We'll be having our meeting at the end of our 2 weeks. We're here for you. I work for a freaking hospital. So yes, I was one of the first non-essentials. Hey! Sorry about that, guys.
Hey.
Welcome to my world. If they are still alive at the end of the month, we will all be. Anyway, so
your coworkers are getting loud.
Your coworkers are getting a little loud.
Anyway, so that's what my input.
I love that shift, Wendy. It's amazing.
We'll see. I might be crying
I love
2
you,
days from now,
Wendy.
but today's a good day. So,
Thank you for
Wendy,
sharing, Wendy.
I gotta-
I'm sorry.
Tiffany said she loves you.
Oh,
And
thank you so much.
And thank you for sharing your thought process and just what's to come. Like that is so
I hope
helpful.
it made
So thank
sense. It
you.
feels like it's just a bunch of jumble in my head, and it changes. I mean, sometimes it changes hourly. 1 minute I'm doing great, and it's like, hey, let's just make this work. I'm thinking about amping up I'm actually thinking about doing videos because I'm a Virtues Project facilitator. Right at the moment, they don't seem to be working all that well in this house, but I'm a Virtues Project facilitator. I'm thinking about starting to do some lives and just showing people how we manage virtues in this house. And I don't do lives ever. There's a part of me that's just like, you know what? How can I give back while we all need something at this time? And, you know, we're all having to manage our families right now. We haven't had to do that for a long time, you know? So if
Who
there's
are these
any,
people I live with? Who are they?
right? So, like, I love that
Oh,
one
workers.
that's going around when the sports
dear.
ended. About I looked over and there's this lady sitting on my couch. It was like, right? That's so true. Anyways,
Erin,
Thank you. Yes. Anyone else? Yes.
I just want to thank you for your leadership. Like
Aw.
you digging really, really deep into this was so helpful for me to really sort it out too. And I'm grateful for you, like to the point of where I want to cry right now. Because I think that, you know me, like I'm super empathetic. I feel really heavy right now. And just like you did the training that we have to address that fear, you did that by offering this training to everybody and opening it up. So thank you for addressing that problem as a leader and helping us sort it out so we can find a way to move forward and survive this stronger together. So thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. I felt the same way about all of you. I feel like crying because I'm just so inspired by all of you. We are just amazing group of people. I just love you all. And yeah, who wants to be an empath? Like that sucks. Sorry, Tiffany, that you're an empath. Like who wants that gift? Like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. And I love you that you are. I just, thank you. Anyone else want to chime in before we get going? Okay, we'll leave it there. All right, go forth. Bye. Thanks for joining, everybody. You're welcome.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you
Ash,
guys.
thanks,
Bye.
Thanks,
Michelle.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bonnie.
Erin.
Thanks, Tiff. Love you all.